Hey guys, this is Dan. Thank you for watching Engelgeist. This is my channel, and this is your weekly forecast for all signs. It is originally intended for the week of the 20th of February through the 26th. I cannot believe we're almost done with February. It's crazy. Happy Pisces season, everybody. To those of you that are new, welcome. To those of you that are returning, welcome back. And to those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your support. For the noobs, if there are any new watchers out there, please subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and hit the like button. That would be the thumbs up button. Hit subscribe is what I meant to say. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Take what you need and leave the rest is basically how my readings are supposed to work. They're created on a daily basis, but if you're seeing it out of order or at any given time, if the reading resonates, that's great. Take it and use it. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, right? So it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong or whatever. These readings are here to validate and support you, not necessarily make the decisions for you. You don't want some rando guy on YouTube taking away your free will. You want to be empowered to make your own decisions. So that's the whole point. I speak from a place of the collective, right? So this reading is for the collective. It's intended, and I have faith in the fact that it will reach those that it needs to when it needs to. You need to have that faith too. Beyond that, I think that's it. Check out the drop-down menu. In there is how to get a hold of me if you want a private reading that's more specific to you and your particular situations. I am available for those. And like what decks I'm using, all of that sort of stuff is in there on the daily videos. So each one of these cards, these 3 tarot cards, are going to represent 1 or 2 days of the week coming up. And then as I go through the week doing the daily forecast, I will refer back to these because these become sort of like the underpinning energy of what some of us will be experiencing. Maybe all of us. Oh my God, you have bad gas. My dog, he's got like wicked diarrhea. It's just not even funny. It's so not even funny. And of course he wants to sit right up underneath my chair. And I probably shouldn't be giving him lunch meat, but he's, you can't make a sandwich around here and not have to share. Anyways, he's been eating cat poop in the backyard. It's disgusting. But whatever. I still love him nonetheless. All right. So let's overshare. A little bit of an overshare there. For those of you that are new, that's kind of who I am, I guess. I'm Captain Overshare. I may cry a little. Don't worry, that's normal. Those of you that know me know that is normal. One thing I will say about these weeklies too, for those of you that are new, is that you might experience one of these cards for the entire week. You could experience all of these cards and then some. It really depends on your trajectory, how much you multitask, all of that sort of stuff. So, take what you need and leave the rest. All right, let's see what's going on in the beginning of the week. Beginning of the week, we have conception. What is conception about? Let me just double check this because this is the Da Vinci deck, and so conception. I think this might be the world, is my feeling. She's giving me world vibes. Wait, what is this? Hold on one second, guys. I need to research this because I am not sure who Conception is. Because they're giving me this whole... Is this the moon? Let me double check this really quick, guys. Give me 1 minute. I need to look at this for a second from just a traditional standpoint because I cannot seem to figure out who this is. I think it's the moon, to be honest, but I want to make sure before I... It is the moon. Okay. Conception. Interesting way of depicting this. Okay. Just from the only reason why I could tell is because it's upright and then the first word is dreams and I'm like, it's got to be the moon, but I wasn't sure. So it is the moon card. Moon is associated with the sign of Cancer and Pisces, right? Very watery. We are in Pisces season, and we did just see the Queen of Cups yesterday, I believe. Is that not correct? Let me just double check that. We did. So we're staying in this emotional sort of space. Oftentimes, the moon can be seen as a negative card, a card of confusion or misunderstandings, kind of not being able to see very clearly which way to be. Which way to go. But for me as a Pisces, I don't see the moon as a bad card. I oftentimes see the moon as like listening to my own internal guidance above all else, kind of maybe even quieting out the messages from the outer world and trying to listen more inwardly, right, to my intuition or my subconscious and allow it to guide me. Now, there could be for some time for some people the moon represents like fear, worries, dreams. Paying special attention to your dreams right now would be important because we are in Pisces season 2, so you're going to be picking up things more intuitively just across all of the signs. But the moon is about finding our way and listening to our own internal voice rather than looking for the signs outside of ourselves, right? It may feel a little bit scary. It might feel like we have to take a little bit extra responsibility for our journey. We might feel like we may have to drown out or close out the voices or suggestions of others at this time. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that what that does is it empowers us to trust, our internal voice and to move forward in that. Even if we're moving forward kind of slowly, I get a little bit of a slow feeling from this idea of conception. To me, when I think of conception, it's like birth in a weird way. So some of you could be giving the idea of birth to new ideas or new desires that aren't quite, I don't want to say desires, but like emotional wants, I guess, that aren't necessarily quite clear yet, right? That would be also the moon's influence, right? What we're sort of drawn towards emotionally, subconsciously. We might be dealing with some of those things. With feelings could be coming up a lot, right? With the moon being present. But we have to trust those feelings. We have to feel those feelings. We don't want to avoid them. You can't necessarily avoid what's going on within you, right? Especially emotionally. So the moon kind of challenges us to look at that and then maybe follow suit. The idea of the word conception being used for this says to me that maybe if we do trust our intuitions or look at our emotions and see where we're being kind of led, even if the path isn't all that clear, we could be being led to new ideas or new feelings or new opportunities that we're unaware of, right? But we have to be brave enough to kind of take the risk, is my feeling. So let's look at the next card and see what we've got. We've got the Seven of Air. Now, this is action, but the Seven of Air would be like the Seven of Swords. And to me, that is he's kind of like the little betrayer of the deck, right? He's the little thief. He's kind of a liar in a way. He's the liar, cheater, thief card. I think it's interesting that this is called action and it is depicted with a baby, right? And then we see conception in beforehand, right? I feel like this could be us maybe dealing with a situation that might be beneath us. It could be a situation that doesn't necessarily deserve our attention in that way. I'm not saying that babies don't deserve our attention, but the idea that there's a baby here is giving me a lot of like these, like in the midweek, let's say this, in the midweek, if we are dealing with situations that we find frustrating, annoying, or childish, don't be surprised, basically. Because that's where this baby and the Seven of Wands would intersect, our Seven of Swords would intersect for me. The word action to me feels like we might have to choose or decide where we want to fit in on this issue, right? If we have people acting up, people lying, people not telling full truths, or situations that aren't necessarily feeling right to us, and that's the confusion of the moon that sometimes the moon can bring to us. Intuitively, if we're feeling something in the milk ain't clean, something in the milk ain't clean. That's what this card is telling you by midweek. The truth comes out and action may be needed to be taken. right? We might need to cut this person out of our life, remove ourselves from said situation, call this person out, do whatever. But whatever it is that we're going to have to do in the midweek, because each one of you might experience this in a different way, it's going to require you to see it. And once you see it, you can't kind of unsee it. Does that make sense? So that's where like the idea of the word action comes from. Is it's like, okay, so now that we know, Bob's an asshole, what do we do? Right? Or now that we know that Steve's a liar, what do I do? Do you see what I'm saying? And so the moon might be where we're emotionally attached to Bob and Steve in depths or ways that are stirring up stuff for us, possibly confusion. And I use the terms Bob and Steve very loosely, right? Bob and Steve could be a person, or Bob and Steve could be a situation that we're involved in at work. It's whatever your Bob and Steve is, you have to figure that out. Like, what I'm talking about if this coincides with what's going on in your life. But if something in the midweek comes very clear to you that it's not necessarily treating you fairly, telling you the truth, being honest up front with you, if it's taking something from you that it doesn't deserve, that is what we're looking at in the midweek. And because of that, we need to maybe probably address it, or at least be aware of it. It's not necessarily always a pleasant awareness, but it's an awareness that makes us smarter and more available to not being taken advantage of further down the line, or any more so than already has happened. Does that make sense? Now, the last card for the week is the Seven of Earth, stamina. So this would be Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is, to me, this feels like we're being regrounded and moving forward. I like that there's a horse in the picture, right? The Seven of Pentacles is oftentimes in a traditional deck depicted with patience, right? With moving forward at the right time, a choice, right? It's a gentleman, I believe, in a field with a bunch of pentacles on a vine, and he's been tending to these pentacles, right? He's been taking care of them. And it's the work that he's put in, the effort that he's put in. And then he has to make this sort of the discerning sort of decision as to when is the right time to harvest. It may not be just now. That's always kind of the idea that I get with the Seven of Pentacles. And it's interesting. We have the Seven of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. Seven energy in tarot, in my opinion, is about making a conscious choice. Right? So when I look at that Seven of Swords in the center, okay, I'm going to go back to the moon. When I look at the intensity of the moon being a major arcana card and sometimes being about like emotional pull, dreams, sometimes nightmares, worries, confusion, right? We could be emotionally attached to a person or a situation in such a way that it's causing us confusion, but it's no longer deniable that this person is not maybe treating us kindly or doing the right thing by us. That is that Seven of Swords. The Seven of Pentacles is, to me, kind of like, is now the right time to move forward? Is now the right time to move away from this situation, whatever it may be? Say it's a boss at work that's a total asshole, or who's taking advantage of your time and your money. The Seven of Earth says, like, think carefully, right? Discern, be patient, be strong. That horse, to me, horses are always symbols of power, personal power, right? So we get to choose, right? That's the seven energy, the conscious choice of when we move forward and when is the right time for us, right? We're strong. I'm not saying stay in a situation longer than need be, but this is stamina. It says to me, we are strong enough and patient enough to maybe deal with the hijinks of the Seven of Swords if we have to. But we also don't have to remain in the emotional confusion of the moon. Does that make sense, guys? So remember that we will find by week's end probably more of an understanding of what we need to do. Whether or not it's the right time to actually do it remains to be seen, is kind of my feeling for this week's reading, right? The Seven of Pentacles always indicates like a sort of a patience or a choosing of the right time of when to harvest. So this horse is ready to trot right into the future, but is it going to be this week? I don't know. The word stamina leads me to believe that we might have to be patient and wait it out a little bit before we make any major decisions around whatever this manifestation of negativity is through the Seven of Swords and the confusion of the moon, right? The moon's about trusting our intuition, though, above all else. And with us being in Pisces season, everybody's intuition is going to be strong. So if your intuition is saying, like, something ain't right, then listen to it, but then also look for signs of that Seven of Swords by the midweek. Somebody's going to be revealing themselves to you, whether they realize it or not. Then it's up to us to be sure or choose to be grounded enough and maybe like almost hide our cards a little bit, and then make the decision of, okay, when is the right time to step away or to harvest this, to move, to call this out, to move beyond this. Okay, now let's look at the Secret Oracle. I love how they have to do this right now while I'm in the same room with me. It's the Frenchy shuffle. They're in like all the huffle puffle noise. It's advice from a cat. I love this cat. He's like, look, bitch, don't say anything right now. Just chill. And this is that sort of pause, I feel like, right? This is like that silent knowing. He kind of almost gives me like high priestess vibes in a funny way, right? Like he's sort of silently watching, observing, and knowing. So in the beginning of the week, if we feel a little bit confused by a situation or a person or even within our own selves, it's all going to come clear by the end of the week. This advice from a cat feels like it's like, let's listen to our own intuition, our own intelligence, and make our decisions from there. Don't just react so quickly. So there are times when we all overshare and give away more information than is prudent or wise. Take a lesson from Cat's enigmatic gaze and err on the side of being a little inscrutable and mysterious. Like, don't necessarily make any big moves this week, even if you start to become aware of something that's not right. The world we live in is larger than we may realize, and there are times when we take our safety for granted because we believe we know the people we share time and space with. But how well do we know anyone, especially those we communicate with regularly but have never actually met? Is your trust a little blind, or are you mindful at all times, or do you occasionally let loose and behave in a manner or say something controversial or inflammatory that might become a cause for regret? Are you leaving footprints that allow others to track and trace you, to see where you have been, what you have done, and what you have said? Would a stranger's discovery leave you feeling proud or ashamed, safe or worried? Sharing is caring, and there are times when sharing our story is of great importance as it allows us to be heard and others to feel less alone. It may bring good people into our lives. It may bring great reward, but we need to show a little judicious discrimination. That's the Seven of Earth, guys. Be mindful of how much you share and with whom. That which is seen cannot be unseen. That which is heard cannot be unheard. That which is said cannot be unsaid. By being a little mysterious, you may save yourself from potential harm and future regret. We all have a tale to share, and they spell tale, T-A-I-L. We might also have an audience, but a wise cat does not speak without purpose, and it's spelled P-U-R-R P-O-S-E, and never says more than what needs to be said. So if we do understand that there is a Seven of Swords situation going on midweek, we don't have to necessarily call it out and create a huge sense of drama, right? Let's let this sort of play out and let it indicate what our next move should be. Does that make sense? This is the grounding stone for the week. And the word is nature. Oftentimes I associate this with being out in nature, but I'm saying that this is the nature of the situation at hand, whatever you guys are dealing with this week, how it is showing itself to you, how your nature is within it, how you're reacting to it, especially with that moon card in the beginning of the week with the confusion. And then how you react to it later with the Seven of Earth at the end of the week, which would be more about being, that stamina, being in our own power, maybe making our own choices and decisions without necessarily revealing them, but also being aware of the nature of the person or the event or the situation that is represented by that Seven of Air in the center of the week. How, grounding in our nature and what's true to us is what's most important throughout this week. If things are revealed to us that we do not like or that we do not feel comfortable about, we don't necessarily have to voice it, but we have to ground in what's true to us and our nature, our truth. Does that make sense? And clear away that confusion. And from there, we can make that informed decision of how and when to move forward, when to harvest and move on. That is your reading for this week. It'll be interesting to see how the cards play out this week. This feels like a very specific story. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button, and share this video out wherever you can. I greatly appreciate all of it. And comment and send questions I will answer too. Take care. Bye-bye.